The massive problem is the fact that it just leaks oil out profusely when it's running. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Misplaced Garage.
The leak is right here. As you can see, it obviously isn't leaking while it's just sitting here, but when it's running,
It leaks a lot. I threw some RTV over the top of it just to see if I can get it to leak a little bit less, but no hope there. As per usual, doing a temporary fix never works. But I need to pop this side case off, clean it all up, and reseal it completely. And that's a bit of work on this bike, so we're gonna get right into it. Alright, let's get this sucker off of here now. Should, in theory, slide right out. There we are.
not too bad. And I believe this is the oil rotor, so I need to pop that guy off and see if there's any gunk up in there.
Oh, doesn't look too dirty to me.
It appears the actual reasoning is that is why it's leaking. I believe somebody used a screwdriver or something to pry the case apart in its past, and it started leaking right there. Guess I'm using only RTV this time around because check that out. I didn't even cut that part. That was already like that when I got it. Gave it ample time to dry. Now it's time to fill her up and hope it doesn't leak out.
Alright, well now it's time to check the valve adjustment and see if those are within spec. Hopefully they are, and I won't have to mess with them.
Just put my foot straight into my oil pan. This is why you're supposed to take care of your oil before you just push it to the side and put your foot in.
Alright, well I got the valves adjusted.
It calls for 0.05 valve lash, and this just barely fits in. A little snug, but that's going to be perfect. You have to set your valves at top dead center for the compression stroke. So I have this right here, rubber band down to the foot peg, and that keeps it pretty much right where it needs to be. There's a little thing that you have to line up in here on the flywheel. There's a little symbol in there, and you just line it up with that little notch. Then you're free to adjust your valves. Once the valves are adjusted, you have to adjust the decompression lever, and it all has to be at top dead center. You're supposed to have about 1 millimeter of free play here, and it looks like I have 0 free play.
Alright, well I just got the skid plate back on the engine after I confirmed that it wasn't leaking, so we're all good on that front. Engine's holding oil. Engine's running great too after I did all that tune-up for it, doing the valves. Next up on the list is to try and fix this clutch lever. I could obviously just order a new one, but that's not me. I'm going to try and bend this guy back so it's closer to the handle, because this is going to be my fiance's bike, and that is a stretch for my hands. So we're gonna get that straightened out and get it a little bit closer to the handle. So I'm gonna start with using a heat gun. I think I may end up having to use a torch, but I think the heat gun will work. So there's about 10 minutes of heat probably. We'll see if I can just bend it a little. Alright, so over here where the chain guard is supposed to be, clearly I'm missing a piece of the case, so that's not good. Well, I ended up just drilling a hole up here rather than down in there. Not sure why I didn't do that in the first place, but seems like it's gonna hold. If it's stupid, but it works, is it really stupid? We're gonna find out. Alright. Now I'm going to try and wire these blinkers back in because it looks like somebody did something to them to make them not connected anymore. So go ahead, wire those back in. I think the front ones are still wired, so that's all good. Yep, that one's wired and that one's wired. So I think it's just the rear blinkers. They need to be wired in. Kind of the next thing that I need to deal with is the bottom of the muffler just kind of has a hole on it. Apparently there's supposed to be a piece there that you can't buy any longer, but I'll show you guys the noise difference. It's actually pretty, it's not loud now, but if it can be quieter, that would be great. You know, I like loud motorcycles, but it's not a great sound to say the least, but I'll show you guys here in a second what it actually sounds like. It's obviously sort of loud, it's not terrible, but when I cover it up, it's way quieter. Like, it's just a better sound if I were to cover it, in my opinion. Alright, well, I'd like to make a block off plate for this exhaust piece right here, but I can't thread any screws in, so that means I can't make a block off plate. So I got a tab here and I'm just gonna clean out the threads. Just run it in and out a couple of times and it should clean up the threads nicely. And the reason I'm actually building one from scratch is because you can't actually buy those anymore. You can't buy them new and they're very expensive used, so I'm just gonna build one. I got some scrap metal right here that should be plenty thick. I'm just gonna cut out a shape that'll fit around that, paint this black, and then throw it on there. Now I got me a little bit of a bend on that, if you guys can see. Oh yeah, I think that's gonna work. Not perfect, the squeeze out is a little bit off, but it's gonna work out fantastic. Can't even see it when you're standing, so it really doesn't matter how it looks. I saw that we just hit 2,000 subscribers, and that's a huge milestone, so I want to say thank you guys, all of you who are watching at home. I appreciate you a lot. Anyways guys, this will be the end of the video, so please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.